Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Kieran here, and today we're going to be doing some player ratings for the Arsenal versus Sporting game. Obviously, it finished 2-2 as you can see, but yeah, let's get into the player ratings. So in goal, Matt Turner didn't have a very good, particularly good game. He was at fault for the first goal along with Kivior, and the second goal he hit the ball right out into Sporting's player. So he didn't make a very good show of himself, so I'm going to have to give Matt Turner a 5. He should have done better for the goals. I know you don't play a lot, but if you're going to be Arsenal's second choice keeper, you need to be ready to come in, even if you haven't played a lot of games. So yeah, you get a 5 from me. Moving in defence then, Zinchenko. He played very well today. He come off for Tomiyasu later in the second half, but he was very good at dictating the play. Made a couple of loose passes here and there, but overall he had a decent display, and he weren't particularly at fault for any of the goals. So I'm going to give him a 6, because at the end of the day, you go away from home and you get a draw. We should have beat them. We deserved to beat them, and we should have put in a better display. So Zinchenko gets a 6 from me. Moving on to Kivior then. It's a difficult one because he didn't really put a foot wrong in that respect. He was at fault for the first goal. He didn't jump and try and defend the corner. He just kind of stood there and cowered away from it, which doesn't look great. And let's hope that he does a Ben White when Ben White did the same thing and kicks on later on. I think there's going to be a little bit more time for him to prove what he's got. He definitely isn't a player for the right now, but he is an adequate backup for Gabriel. Hopefully he doesn't have to play as much. So I'm going to give him a 5 for his debut. Moving on to Saliba. Saliba was hands down our best defender. The amount of times he recovered the ball well when they kept looping the balls over the top. There was one instance early in the first half where he almost messed up and cost Arsenal a goal. But in the end, the player missed it. So apart from that, he didn't really put a foot wrong. So I'm going to give him a 6, because he was very, very good when it comes to stopping the balls over the top. And his football IQ is definitely next level. And you can see why he has such an impact on this team. So Saliba gets a 6 from me. Moving on to right back in Ben White. I think he had quite a quiet game. There was a number of times when he slowed the game down a bit too much, at least from my personal opinion. I would like to see him a little bit more intensity, and not just every time you get the ball just to pass it to Saka. Maybe try and hold on to the ball. I know it's contradicting what I just said, but maybe trying to move the ball into somebody different to give Saka a chance to move rather than just passing it into his feet, or even the ball over the top. I didn't see many balls from Ben White over the top, and there's a couple of times where the front three were running and nobody picked them up. So I think I'm going to have to give him a 5. He didn't stand out for me, and I don't think there was anyone that really deserves a higher than a 6, to be honest, in this game. Although Saliba probably deserves a 7, mainly because he scored a goal, which I forgot to mention. But yeah. End of the day, I've already remembered the score, so let's leave it at that. Moving into midfield then, Jorginho made a couple of good tackles, the odd occasional loose pass. He was kind of anonymous throughout most of the game. He didn't really create anything too overwhelming, and he just did well enough in midfield. There wasn't really any standout players in this game. So I'm going to give Jorginho a 5. Granit Xhaka then, he played well today, intercepted the ball quite a few times, cut out play, and he was involved in the second goal for Arsenal, although he did get quite fortunate, it bounced off a Sporting player. But I think overall, in a game like this, I want to see better from the whole team. I don't think Arsenal were at their best today, and I find it very difficult to give anyone past a 6. So I'm probably going to give Granit Xhaka a 6 also, mainly because he was involved in the goal, and I don't think anybody else really deserved a 7. Moving on to Fabio Vieira then, he got an assist for the first goal. for Saliba. He made quite a few good passes, and he looked like he was trying to create stuff all the time. But sometimes I just don't think the other players around him were on the same wavelength. There was a time where he went through and tried to backheel it to Martinelli, and Martinelli wasn't paying attention, and it didn't result to anything. And there was another time where Partey made a lovely ball into the box, and he just couldn't get out of his feet. So, like I said, it's been a disappointing game from all of the players today. It will win near at our best. And the standards I've seen this season, I'm going to have to give Fabio Vieira a 6. So moving on to the front three then. Bukayo Saka had a very quiet game today. There's a couple of times where he made some nice runs, but he was getting doubled and tripled up on, and kind of ineffective throughout most of the game. I would have liked to see his link-up play with Ben White a little bit better. It was a bit slow and passive at times, and there wasn't really much drive and decisiveness in the final third. So I'm going to have to give Saka a 6. Moving on to Reiss Nelson then. For me, he's my man of the match today. He kept on trying to create stuff the entire time he was on the pitch. And for the most part, he did look like he was going to create a lot. He was very, very attacking minded, constantly running at the players. There's a couple of times he's going through a couple of the Sporting defenders. But I think, to be fair, I don't think anyone deserves higher than a 6. So it's going to be boring again. I'm going to have to say a 6 from Nelson, although he is my man of the match. Mainly because I liked his drive and his determination to try and create something. The rest of the team looked a bit slow and passive, and he was the only one for the majority of parts of the game to really drive at the Sporting defence. So yeah, Reiss Nelson's my man of the match with the same rating as most of the players, but I don't think anyone deserves a 7 today. 6 for me from Reiss Nelson. And then finally moving on to Martinelli. If he would have scored that goal when he ran through most of the team, then I would have given him a 7, because for the most part he was pretty decent. If he is going to play centre forward, he needs to learn to drift out a little bit more and rotate with either Saka or Reiss Nelson. So I think that's when Arsenal are most dangerous, when our front three are quite fluid and alternating between each other. So I think he still has a lot to learn in that centre forward role, and he really should have done better for that shot. When he took it around the keeper, he just took a heavy touch, and we could have won that game. So yeah, for me, Martinelli gets a 6. And moving on to the substitutes then. So Tomiyasu come on for Zinchenko. There was a couple of times when, twice when he was on the left-hand side and he went past the defender, turned him inside out, which was very good. And he made quite a few clutch tackles in the end to keep us more secure. So I'm going to give him a 6 for his performance today. Like I said, no one's getting more than that, so I've mentioned it quite a few times. I need to say it again, but he did make an impact, and I think we got out of that game with the point because of the substitutes that Arteta made to secure up the game. Moving on to central defence then with Gabriel. Gabriel, when he come on, was elite. You can really see the difference of when he's not in the team and how much of an impact he has when he is starting. Didn't put a foot wrong and made quite a few clutch tackles, and he is very good on the ball. So yeah, although he didn't really create anything, he was very secure and stopped Sporting from trying to take control in that second half. So I'm going to have to give him a 6 also. And then moving on to Smith Rowe, didn't really have much of an impact, to be honest. There's a couple of times where he didn't really know what to do with the ball, or he was in the way, and really should have done better. And I'm hoping that he gets back to match fitness soon, because I really missed the Smith Rowe of last season. So I'm going to give Smith Rowe a 5, just because he wasn't on that long to really make an impact, and when he did have the ball, he didn't really do anything. Thomas Partey came on for Jorginho, and you can see the difference in quality when he's on the pitch. His passing range is just unreal, rather. And his ball into Fabio Vieira was absolutely gorgeous, and he really should deserve the better attempt from Vieira, but it didn't work out that way, and he was breaking up play as usual, just his normal best. So I'm going to give Thomas Partey a 6. Moving on to Arteta then. I don't think it was his fault today why we didn't come out with the 3 points. Or the 3 point, I keep saying 3 points, but why we didn't come out with a win. I think he put enough players out on there to do a job. I think maybe if the only criticism I can have is that he didn't have enough game changers on the bench, but I don't think that's just his responsibility. I think he did probably made the right choice in resting out some of the players, but we definitely need some more strength and depth. But for me, Arteta gets an 8, just because I believe that this team had enough in it to win this game, and I don't think he was at fault for what happened on the pitch. He made the substitutions relatively early. He was bringing players on at like 60 minutes, and the players he did bring on should have usually made an impact, but they didn't, and I don't think that was his responsibility. So yeah, Nick Arteta gets an 8 from me. And then moving on to the fans then. To be honest, it was very difficult for me to hear the fans throughout the game. They were very quiet, at least on the stream that I was listening to. So, I mean, I'm guessing we turned up, didn't really notice us, to be fair. And maybe we could have been a bit louder. But obviously Sporting's got a big stadium. They've got a big fan base, a big club in Portugal. So I guess that's probably why. But I would like to have heard a little bit more sound coming from the Arsenal end. So I'm going to give the fans an 8. But yeah. Moving on to the referee then. There was a couple of times when he looked kind of lost, relying on the VAR a lot, and the VAR got it wrong on a couple of occasions. He booked Martinelli, even though it was Granit Xhaka that made it was involved in the incident, not Martinelli. And yeah, he didn't really do a lot wrong. Just yeah, didn't really make a difference, to be honest. The referee was kind of shit. Got a couple of decisions wrong, but no like game-altering decisions. Just wasn't. I mean, for the most part, he let the game play, so can't really knock him down too much. But I'm gonna give him a 5, just because obviously give someone the wrong card, even though we shouldn't have given it to somebody else. So yeah. So that's it for my player ratings. Hopefully we have a better performance against Fulham on Sunday. I will be doing a live stream. If you want to go and check out the game, I'm going to leave a link to the watch along right here. And please give us a like and subscribe. It means a lot. I know I'm a very small YouTuber, but all the support I'm getting so far has been great. And if you want to be involved in more stuff like this, then please drop a comment, hit a like, and subscribe. Thank you very much. Peace.